Congressman Andy Barr. Congressman, what are your expectations for today?
Well, I'm hopeful that my colleagues on the Republican side will pass this rule. It's outrageous that we had a third assassination attempt on the life of our president, and Secret Service agents aren't getting paid because Democrats refuse to fund the Department of Homeland Security. I think it's time for us to pass a rule, pass a reconciliation bill without Democrats, and fund the entirety of the Department of Homeland Security, including ICE, including TSA, including Border Patrol and Secret Service, and all of the agencies of the department through the end of the president's term, because we simply cannot depend on Democrats to do it.
Yeah.
We had over 500 TSA agents quit because of the instability in their pay, and 100,000 other non-TSA Department of Homeland Security employees are not getting their paychecks. It's in a time of domestic turmoil, when you have these assassination attempts, at a time when we're in conflict, military conflict overseas, when the threat environment is high, the Department of Homeland Security arguably is the most important agency, in addition to the Department of War, to fund.
I agree. And all of this on Capitol Hill today is so important in how these votes actually take place. I want to bring in Chana Lodesh. She's got a question for you on this bill.
So I understand that DHS Secretary Mark-Wayne Mullen has warned the ability to surf through the couch cushions to find pennies. It's ending apparently this week. That being said, while speed is of the essence with DHS funding, and Democrats obviously have put Republicans in a difficult position, Senate Majority Leader John Thune has said he wants this bill to be anorexic, not include any of the funding for the Iran war, not really include any of the offsets. I know that Republican Study Committee has like $1.7 trillion that could be going to defunding entitlements for non-citizens. Does the House feel like they can get something a little bit more ambitious across the finish line?
Well, there's no one who wants more and bigger, bolder policy changes than me. I've got many ideas for another reconciliation bill, including bringing on more energy production for the technologies of the future, more tax reforms, more mandatory spending reforms, so we can really address the spending crisis in our country. But I do agree that time is running out. And we do have 3 bites at this apple. We did the One Big Beautiful Bill, the Reconciliation 1.0. The Speaker's view is that because we're running out of money, because Secretary Mullen doesn't have the runway to continue to find those coins under the couch cushions, that we need to go ahead and do a skinny 2.0 and then move on to a Reconciliation 3.0, where we can do these bigger, bolder health care reforms, entitlement reforms, tax reforms, that the country really needs.
But do you and your colleagues have consensus on that? That's, I think, where the rubber is meeting the road and where the issue seems to be. Yeah,
that is where the issue is and where it has been, and that's the debate that's happening within the House Republican Conference. The Speaker has made the call that we don't have time to do that. I think he makes a good point, because it took us several months in order for us to create the One Big Beautiful Bill. It was a long process, and we can't allow our TSA agents to go unpaid again. So, look, I'm okay with the two-step solution, the skinny reconciliation to fund DHS, and then moving on to a third reconciliation bill, as long as there is a commitment from leadership to actually get to that third reconciliation bill.
Yeah, there you go. Well, we'll see if those negotiations play out, and that path is the one that you mentioned is the one that is taken. I do want to ask you about a couple more issues here this morning, because Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders is expected to hold and host an AI panel discussion on Capitol Hill tonight, but he's bringing in a professor from a CCP-funded Beijing university. Now, this event's going to focus on what he calls the existential threat of AI. He wants an AI data center moratorium. Treasury Secretary Bessent is slamming this event. He posted this on X. The U.S. is home to the most talented AI researchers in the world. Instead of harnessing American innovation, Senator Sanders is inviting foreign nationals to tell the U.S. how to regulate AI. Congressman, you're a member of the China Select Committee. I want to get your reaction to this.
Senator Sanders should be ashamed of himself. He calls himself a socialist. He aligns himself more with the philosophy of Beijing than he does with the United States. Hosting this is totally reckless. It compromises our national security. And the proposal itself is alarmingly dangerous to our national security. We're in an AI race. Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, says that China is only nanoseconds behind the United States. We must win the race for AI dominance. For a lot of reasons, for national security, for productivity of our economy, but also the country that wins the AI race is the country that's going to set the rules. So if Senator Sanders is concerned about privacy, about misuse of AI, he should want us to lead in AI instead of promoting Chinese leadership in AI, which is absolutely the most dangerous thing you could imagine. We need to, at the very base of the AI stack is energy, dispatchable, firm, baseload power. And we've made a terrible strategic error in this country over the last 16 years, particularly during the Obama and Biden administrations, with this war on domestic energy production. Fortunately, under President Trump's leadership, we're returning to energy dominance, and we need to return to fossil energy, reliable, affordable fossil energy to power these technologies of the future to give us that firm baseload power. China is building 2 new coal plants a week because they recognize that these technologies require immense amount of power. And AI data center demand is spiking precisely at the time when we prematurely retired our coal and fossil energy fleet in this country. We need to rebuild that electricity generation capacity so that we can win the AI race.
Absolutely. Agreed 100%. Congressman, before you go, this weekend, big weekend in Kentucky, the Derby is Saturday. Now, the industry is booming after feeling the impacts of President Trump's tax breaks. Earlier in the month, new Kentucky legislation granted the state's horse industry approval to keep 100% of the sales tax revenue that's generated during races held in Louisville and Lexington, Congressman. I want to get your reaction to that. On top of the fact that with DHS closed right now, Congressman, CISA is not doing its work. That is cybersecurity. That group is who would be working on security ahead of an event like the Derby. So 2 questions to you before we go.
Yeah, so I was just at Churchill Downs yesterday with their amazing team, and the preparations are ongoing, both in terms of just running the greatest 2 minutes in sports, the Run for the Roses, 152nd Run for the Roses. But you're looking at 150,000 people right there on the campus of the Churchill Downs on Saturday. And so there are enormous security needs. Another reason why we need to fund DHS and make sure federal officials are there to help the Louisville Metro Police and Fire Department and all of the other public safety officials who will be there, the Kentucky State Police, etc. But it is true that this industry is thriving primarily because of President Trump and Republicans' One Big Beautiful Bill, restoring bonus depreciation. At the Keeneland yearling sales, we set a record over $500 million. Listen to this, over $500 million in sales of yearling horses because of bonus depreciation. That flows right back into our economy, $6.5 billion economic impact annually in Kentucky alone. This is a signature industry of Kentucky, and tax policy matters. And Americans and foreigners are more interested in investing in this great sport, our signature industry, because of the incentives that we provided in the reconciliation bill and President Trump's working families tax cut bill.
Well said.
That's jobs.
Well said. Congressman Andy Barr, always a pleasure. Congressman, thank you.